para tener el custodio de nuestros hijos en esta época difícil. Gracias a señora Sánchez para estar aquí hoy, para conducir. Gracias a todos. Ella va a hacer todo lo que pueda por ayudar. Y en el fin, después yo hablo un poco otra vez. En su vista, que creo.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Brophy. I am the attorney at the Union County Surrogate's Office. I've been there for 22 years. I deal with all of the legal issues that come before the court, and our main issue is dealing with guardianships of incapacitated people. So the forms that you have in front of you in the packet have fortunately been put online by the state of New Jersey. So they're very easy to look at, they're very easy to follow. There are instructions for each section of the form, and, oh, sorry.
So, ella estaba explicando que acaban de poner la aplicación online, donde es más fácil para poder rellenarla y hacer el proceso.
That's it. that was short.
I just abbreviated.
Thank you. That was good. So I assume that you are all here today because you have a child that will either qualify now to be declared incapacitated or in the future.
Están aquí porque estamos, thank you. So están aquí para rellenar el formulario porque tienen a un niño que puede que sea elegible para poder completar la aplicación.
And our office, the surrogate's office, which is located at the courthouse, right here in Elizabeth,
Y la oficina que está aquí en Elizabeth, en la courthouse,
files all the paperwork for the guardianships,
rellena todos los formularios para ustedes de la custodia.
and we present the papers to the Superior Court judge,
Y presentamos todos los documentos al juez,
who then will grant the guardianship and issue letters of guardianship to the, usually in this case, the parents.
donde luego la custodia normalmente a los padres.
Is there anyone here that has a child who's already 18 years old?
¿Hay alguien que tiene un hijo o hija que ya tiene 18 años? ¿29? ¿O el 29? The 29th? Sorry.
They will be, they're 29 or they will
No, the 29th, they're going to be 18?
So the way it
Yeah.
works,
18,
18.
yeah.
The way the guardianship process works, and just general guardianship, when a child is under 18 years old,
So, como normalmente funciona cuando un niño está menos de 18 años,
they are considered a minor,
es considerado un menor,
and as parents, we are their official guardians.
y como padres nosotros tenemos la custodia.
Once the child turns 18 years old,
Después de que el hijo o el niño o la niña
They
cumpla
are-
18 años,
they've reached the age of majority, and as parents, we cannot make decisions for them legally.
son considerados ya adultos y nosotros como padres no podemos hacerle legalmente hacer las cosas por ellos o escoger por ellos.
So it's not prohibitive, but it's important to try and file the paperwork as close to the 18th birthday as possible,
Por eso es importante tratar de rellenar los formularios antes o un poquito cerca de que ellos cumplan 18,
just so that you have consistency in being able to make decisions for your child.
para que tengan consistencia a hacer y elegir adecuadamente.
We've had people that file guardianships when the child is 32, 57. It's not that you can't do it later, and you probably won't have any problems, but it's better to do it sooner than later.
So, no es que no lo puedan hacer más tarde, pero es mejor hacerlo antes que más tarde.
So the way the paperwork is filed, it can be filed as early as 2 to 4 weeks prior to the 18th birthday.
So, los documentos normalmente pueden ser rellenados 2 a 4 semanas antes.
And the packets that you have in front of you are the actual documents that you will use to fill out and present to our office.
Y el paquete que tienen enfrente suyo es la aplicación que ustedes van a rellenar.
So if you turn to page 7, yep.
Lo que estaba explicando la señora Lisa es que si tienen 32 años, tienen 18, tienen 21 años, todavía pueden ser los papeles de la costería de la corte. No cualquier edad de cualquier niño discapacitado o adulto que tengan pueden ser los papeles. ¿Me entendieron? Gracias.
So page 7 of the packet, which is on the screen here, has all of the steps.
Thank you. Página 7. Tiene todos los pasos.
It's okay. That you need to follow. So I think it would be easy if we went through each step and look at each
That's fine.
document. If I could find my,
So, sería más fácil si vamos paso por paso y miramos a cada documento.
let's see if this works. So step 1 is
Paso 1,
is completing what's called the CIS, Case Information Statement or Information Form.
ok, se llama el CIS, formulario A.
It's not going to load exactly, but so Form A, which is page 11 of the packet.
Página 11.
And this is just a one-page document that gives the court the information about your child and you as the proposed guardian.
So, esta es una página donde da la información del niño y de usted.
If you look at the page, it pretty much just has information about name, address, date of birth, any other interested parties, which would be relatives like spouse, children, siblings of the incapacitated person, whether you need an interpreter, basic information.
Ok, so tiene información básica, nombre, apellido, si hay otro afiliado, si necesita un intérprete, eso es algo básico que puede rellenar usted.
And then step 2 is the verified complaint, which is page 14.
Paso 2 es verificar y apuntar, que es página 14,
So it's Form B.
formulario B.
And that is the paperwork that explains the situation. It explains who the incapacitated person is, who the guardian is, who the relatives are, and any other important information.
Es el formulario donde explica la situación, donde pone el nombre del niño, nombre suyo y información importante que necesitan saber.
If you look at page 15,
Si miran en la página 15,
the second page of the complaint,
en la segunda parte del
number 4,
número 4,
it asks if you have an IEP, which, does everyone's child have an IEP in here? I'm going to
Pregunta si tiene un
assume that you
IEP.
do. So you're halfway there. And I'll get to the other forms, but you need to have a doctor's certification
necesitan tener una certificación del doctor
and an IEP.
y un IEP.
So you have them, you get them, I think, every year from school. So you would just need to attach that and the doctor's certification, which I'll talk about in a little bit.
¿Ustedes entendieron? Es muy importante estos dos documentos, los papeles que se va a necesitar. Se va a necesitar el IEP, pero el último que se hizo con su hijo o su hija. Y una carta del doctor certificando y verificando la discapacitada o discapacitado del niño. Eso es muy importante. Son los dos documentos que necesitamos para el proceso.
On page 17,
En
which
la página
is
17,
still the complaint, it gives you options to seek full guardianship of the person or limited guardianship.
So le da opción para requisito de custodia 100%
Mo-
o parcial.
Most people seek full guardianship. They can make all decisions for their child. Some people have children that are not as disabled, and they can make some decisions on their own, and they want to give their child the ability to be as independent as possible.
So le dan la opción, algunos necesitan tener custodia 100% donde le hacen y le escogen exactamente qué es lo que el niño puede hacer y lo que debe hacer, y otros que no tienen tanta discapacidad tienen más opción de poder hacer las cosas un poquito más livianas ellos.
So you can see most of it, but on option 2 is for the limited guardian. A lot of kids, they can't make medical decisions. They can't handle finances, but they want to vote. They want to vote in an election, or they can drive, or they want to get married. Some kids have the ability to do those things.
So algunos tienen alguna opción, a lo mejor no pueden tener cuentas de banco, pero quieren votar, entonces tienen opciones donde pueden hacer ciertas cosas.
So that's an option as well, that if your child is on the lower end, I would say, of the spectrum, that, they understand what's going on, but they can't fully manage their own affairs, that's something to consider as well. You don't have to take all of their liberties away and feel like you have to make every decision for them.
So tienen opciones, muchas.
Ay, tiene una pregunta. There's a question on the floor.
Oh,
Yes.
About the page 35 or 14, and they say the name with the Anthony number, like you need a lawyer or something. You have,
hold on, wait. What page?
14.
is that 14?
Oh, I'm sorry, going back.
Stop.
Oh, so you do not, okay, so I was going to generalize after I went through everything, but I will say it now. I am a lawyer. You do not need a lawyer to do this. However, that's a but. There's a but. You do not need a lawyer to fill out this paperwork. By law, the court rules say that the alleged incapacitated person, who will be your child, needs an attorney, needs to be represented by an attorney. However, we pick attorneys that act pro bono, meaning they don't charge a fee. So by law, you don't need a lawyer, but your child needs a lawyer. We've had cases before, mostly with older women who don't want to be declared incapacitated. Oh, I can do everything on my own. No, you can't, but they still fight it. Most kids don't fight it, but we've had kids that fight it, and they have a lawyer, and they can advocate on their behalf.
So no necesita un abogado, pero el niño necesita representación de un abogado, entonces lo que ellos hacen es un abogado pro bono donde no cobra. Entonces lo representan.
Right. And if, your child has $1 million, the lawyer is going to get paid.
Y su
But
hijo tiene $1 millón, entonces sí le van a cobrar.
I like to exaggerate a little, just so you know.
Que no necesitan abogado, ni para que llenen la aplicación.
Right.
¿Me entendieron? No necesitan abogado.
So,
Yes, there's a question on the
yes.
floor.
Si yo esos papeles ya me han llegado, yo los llené y los mandé a todos. Ahora me mandaron una solicitud porque no tienes que pagar por eso. Llené esa solicitud y yo mandé todo a todos. Yo tengo que esperar.
So she filled out all the forms. She sent them to the court. What is her next step?
Did you send them already?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Sí, porque era un mes antes de que la niña cumpliera.
It was a month before she turns 18, so she filled out the forms and submitted them.
How long does she have to wait for a response?
I'm just, what's the last, we might even have it already. We might have filed it in. I'm not really sure. I
A lo
can't-
mejor ya lo
What's her
tienen.
name, what's her name? What's it?
My daughter is J.D. Colon.
Cologne.
J.D. Colon?
Oh, it sounds familiar. Yeah, I could, when I go to, I'm going to be in the office tomorrow, I can look to see. Pretty much, when we get them, unless someone's out, by the next day, they're filed. And then you should get the paperwork back. So that's, I just want to make sure, because you said you sent them a while ago. I want to make sure that we have
So ella
them.
quiere asegurarse que los tengan, porque normalmente cuando los rellenan, los someten. Si alguien falta en la oficina, en unos días lo someten y ya lo inscriben y luego le mandan respuesta. She said about 3 weeks
Did
ago.
you, I know. Did you mail? Because the mail is horrible, so I can't even go there. So again, no attorney, you don't need, so on the top where it says name of attorney or pro se means you're acting on your own. That's what pro se is. So you would put your name, your address, all of that up there. And then, I think that was it. Oh, so the forms that you all have and oh, sorry, sir. No? Right. Well, you can do it anytime you want from their 18th birthday on. If you send it in September, they won't be 18 until January. That's too soon. So maybe like 2 to 3, 4 weeks before, a few weeks before they turn 18. No. Yeah. So there's no issue if the doctor examines the child, and you'll see when I get to that form on the certification, it'll say like age of child. There's no issue if the child's 17, about to turn 18, but not 17, turning 18 in 10 months. Like it has to be soon. Yes.
My son's father and I were sharing
Mhm.
of the child, right? So when my son turns 18, I will have to have his consent to do it? Or how does it work?
So,
Let me
Yeah.
break down the picture.
yeah, that's,
Lo que está diciendo la señora aquí que ella y el papá del niño comparten el custody, comparten
Custodia.
la custodia del niño, que cómo ahora va a ser el proceso con los papeles.
so we've had divorced parents who get along and act together. We've had divorced parents who the father or mother, usually the father, no offense, wants nothing to do with the child, and the mother is the only guardian. We've had divorced parents who fight over who's going to be the guardian. So as far as consent, so you are going to apply, say, to be your son's guardian. You're going to list his father, because he's still his father, on the application. You're going to send him, and there's a notice requirement, you're going to send him the paperwork by regular and certified mail. If he says nothing, oh well, like that's fine. We're good with that. The court-appointed attorney for your son will likely try to reach out to the father. He may not speak to him, but you have to let him know about it. Right. So there's no, it's not official consent, it's more of lack of opposition. Yes. And like I said, sometimes people work together, sometimes they don't. We've seen it all, and then some. Lots of stories I could tell.
So, tienen diferentes formas de resolver esa solución. A veces hay padres que se llevan, entonces pueden aplicar a la misma vez. A veces hay padres que está la mamá, pero el papá está ausente o no responde, entonces rellenan los formularios igual. Al papá le va a llegar los documentos. Si él contesta, si no contesta, el proceso sigue igual. So, maybe el abogado le llama, se contacta con ellos, le deja saber, si responde, pero el proceso sigue igual. Okay?
So on page 17, we're still on Form B of the complaint. On the bottom,
Página 17 en la parte de abajo.
it talks about guardianship of the estate, which is the property. Again, incapacitated, not incapacitated, most 17, 18-year-old kids don't have property. They don't have money. They may have some little money, but not money. A lot of times, people only apply to be the guardian of the person and not of the property. And later on in life, the child, who may now be 20, 30, 40 years old, either inherits money, gets a small job and has money. The parent wants to open an ABLE account. To do any of those things with money at all, you have to be guardian of the person and property.
So, la parte de abajo es a través de guardian de la propiedad. Normalmente los niños jovencitos no tienen mucha propiedad, a lo mejor tienen algún dinero, pero cuando sean un poquito más mayor y ganen o compren algo, entonces tienen alguna propiedad, entonces usted quiere ser propietario de ellos y la propiedad que ellos van a tener en el futuro también.
So there's another form online that's just guardianship of the person. You can do that if you want, but I recommend doing person and property because usually down the line there's some type of property that the child has.
So ella recomienda que pongan para los dos, la propiedad y la persona, porque eventualmente van a tener propiedad que a lo mejor necesitan alguna ayuda con.
And you don't need to be guardian of the property to be the designated payee on a Social Security disability account. So if that's the only money that they're ever going to get, you don't need it, but I think that it's helpful in case they do come into money in some way, shape, or form down the road. It doesn't cost any extra, let's put it that. We've had people that have done only guardianship of the person. A couple of years later, they want to open an ABLE account, or the child inherits money from a deceased grandparent, and they have to come back and file all over again. So if you can do it all in one group, that would be better for
Ya,
them.
le recomienda que si lo puede hacer todo de una vez, es mejor así. Estuvieron casos donde aplicaron por solo para la persona y no la propiedad, y luego tuvieron que rellenar los formularios otra vez y volver a hacer el proceso.
Which brings me to step 3, which is Form C, which
Okay, paso 3, formulario C,
the certification of assets.
certificación.
Again, 9 times out of 10, there are zeros in every column. They don't have
Normalmente-
stocks, they don't have a pension, they don't have income, they don't have mutual funds, sometimes there is the Social Security disability listed, but that's usually, they might have a small CD or a small bank account, but that form needs to be filled out for guardianship of the property as well.
So, este formulario es para ser rellenado también para la propiedad. Normalmente es todo ceros. A veces solo ponen el de Social Security, que el income que viene, pero lo demás es normalmente cero porque en este punto casi no tienen mucho.
So step 4, Form D on page 23 is the physician certification.
Paso 4 es la certificación del médico, página 22.
And like I said before, regardless of the IEP, you need at least one doctor's certification.
Necesita por lo menos una certificación del médico.
And the doctor needs to fill this out within 6 months of when you file the application.
Y el doctor tiene que rellenar este formulario 6 meses de que usted cubrió la aplicación.
So if the child saw the doctor in February and you send this in December, it would be too old. It has to be within 6 months.
So, si el médico vio al niño en febrero y usted rellena el formulario en diciembre, ya ha pasado mucho tiempo, tiene que hacerlo un poquito antes.
And because of COVID, many doctors have just done the telemed video exams. You don't have to go there if you don't really need to go there. So that's acceptable as long as they do the report in the proper time frame.
Y por el COVID, normalmente los doctores ya van haciendo citas virtuales, eso también es aceptable.
And then Form E1, which is step 5, is literally a one page. It's just a cover page. So you would sign this and attach it to the front of the IEP and stick it with the rest of the papers. So that's a pretty
Paso
easy
5,
one.
formulario E, es solo para rellenarlo con una firma, es solo una página, va al frente del cubre del IEP.
And then this certification in support of guardianship, you don't need if you have the IEP. It's one or the other.
Y esta certificación no la necesitan si tienen el IEP, eso es uno o el otro.
And then what is this? Step 6. This is Form F. It's called the order fixing the guardianship hearing.
Paso 6, formulario F.
This paperwork is basically the scheduling of the guardianship. So we fill out most of it. We tell you the date of the hearing, we tell you who is appointed as the attorney for your child.
So aquí es cuando le dan la fecha de cuando es el hearing, la fecha y cuál va a ser el abogado que está para este caso.
This, sort of half there, but on page 31, we check off the box if they're pro bono, no cost, or if they are going to get paid.
Página 31 es donde pone si es pro bono, que no le van a pagar al abogado, o si tienen que pagarle.
Number 7 talks about serving the papers, like on the father, on the spouse, on the children, whoever is being declared incapacitated. It's immediate family.
So, número 7 es donde pone que le van a entregar los documentos a ciertas personas, o el padre, o el niño.
So if you have an 18-year-old son and you have a 23-year-old daughter, she's supposed to get notice as well. I don't expect you to mail it. If she lives with you, you just show it to her, it's fine, we don't.
So, si tiene un hijo de 18 y uno de 23, ya que vive con usted, le puede enseñar los documentos, no se los tiene que mandar, pero normalmente se los mandan.
So that's pretty much just the scheduling of the case. And I've been working since the pandemic happened. I've been working from home mostly. Sometimes I go in the office. There have not been any clients coming in to court, to the surrogate's office, pretty much anywhere. We do all of the hearings, if any, on the record, on the phone.
So, normalmente el hearing es normalmente a través del teléfono, porque a través de la pandemia que estamos, ellos no han presentado a ninguna persona.
Even before COVID, when it was a situation where it was a DDD type of guardianship, parent becoming guardian of their child, we didn't require you to come to court.
Antes de COVID, como si tuvieran la situación de DDD, antes tampoco le pedían que viniera a la corte.
So chances are you will file the paperwork, we will process it, there may be some follow-up phone calls, but you should not need to come to court necessarily to go before the judge for any reason, unless there's an issue, if there's a contested matter, or if there's some sort of problem.
So, rellenan la aplicación, la someten, luego se van a comunicar con ustedes, van a tener unas conversaciones. Si hay algún problema, entonces ustedes van a tener que presentarse en corte, pero normalmente no.
So, and then, I don't know how we're going to do it, I guess, when we open up, which I don't know when that's going to be. But right now, if you applied for guardianship, say for your daughter, we process everything, the judgment, which is the last thing that I'm going to talk about, gets signed. You have to sign what's called a qualification paper, that you're qualifying to be appointed the guardian. Right now, we're emailing them. We email you the paper, you print it, you sign it, you mail it back. So nobody's coming in. It's actually been nice for everybody to not have to, take off from work, because we're only open 8:30 to 4:30, or to travel if you live in, say, Berkeley Heights, because that's probably the furthest distance from Elizabeth, that you're in Union County. So it's nice to have that option, which I hope we keep, because it's disruptive sometimes to have to come in for a very short time, unless you want to speak to us, which we're there all the time to speak to as well. So the last piece of the puzzle is the judgment.
La último pedazo de la aplicación es el judgment, donde el juez les da la.
So that's Form G,
Formulario
page
G,
33.
Página 33.
And that is the official document that declares the child incapacitated and appoints you or whoever as the guardian.
So, eso es el documento donde le indica a usted que tiene la custodia y que el niño es incapacitado a través de la corte.
So 1, 2, 3. You get what's called letters of guardianship.
Le mandan cartas de custodia.
The letters are actually one piece of paper. You keep that for your records. You will get surrogate certificates, and I think it says guardianship short certificate on
Se le
there.
mandan certificados que pone custodia.
And that's what you would show people. So say you go, I don't know, to the bank and you want to open up an account as a guardian. They want to see a certificate to show that you're the guardian. I always tell people, have for however many guardians there are, 2, 3, 4, 1, have one that you keep on you at all times and have one extra one just to leave at home, just in case you need it.
So, ese certificado es el que van a usar cuando si tienen que abrir una cuenta de banco para presentar que ustedes son, tienen la custodia sobre el niño o la niña.
They cost $5 each. You can always
Valen
get
$5 cada
additional
uno.
copies, but to start, just to get 1 or 2 extra to
Pueden
have.
tener 1 o 2 copias, valen $5.
¿Alguien tiene una pregunta? Anybody has a question? We have a question over there.
When they turn 18, can they be able to register to vote, or do we have to do this before?
No. So, I mean, I guess that's the thing too. I mean, even if your child is declared incapacitated and the judgment doesn't have a delineation or a checkbox to say that they can vote, and they go to the polls, like, I don't think they're going to ask at the poll, oh, are you declared incapacitated, or where's the guardianship certificate? You know, they usually don't really ask those questions.
I know because I work in the pool, that's what I asked.
Right.
They need to sign and everything, you know, like my son, he can hold the pen, but he can sign, you know, maybe this time he can sign one side, maybe next time, you know, it's not the same, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I asked, because he said, oh, Mom, when can we vote, like?
Yes, yes.
When you apply for Social Security, at the end of Social Security, the paperwork that says that you apply to register for vote. And even though if your child's a male, you have to go to military, you have to apply for the military, even though it's not gonna take them, but you still have to be part, all the way to get your Social Security. You have a Social Security application, the paperwork to register for vote.
Okay, I applied for the Social Security like 2 months ago because I applied the first time when he was little and they negative, so I never tried with that. So I wait for he get it in. Now he get it in like 2 months ago, so I applied. That's what I don't know.
Because the COVID takes long.
Yeah.
La pregunta es que si su hijo o su hija pueden votar antes de hacer la aplicación. Su hijo o su hija tienen derecho también. Si usted quiere registrarlo para que voten, pueden votar. ¿Otra pregunta? Ya.
Yo estaba averiguando, porque la niña mía tiene autismo, o sea, no está en un nivel tan mal. Para ella manejar, también necesitaría, ¿qué necesita? O sea, ¿cómo que qué necesitaría ella para que pueda llevarla, o lo pueda hacer normal?
Okay. Her daughter has
¿Qué tiene Asperger? No, ella es autista.
autism.
Mhm.
Her daughter has autism, but it's not in a high level.
Right.
What is she, like, she wants to learn, teach her how
To
to
drive.
Is that, have anywhere in the application?
Yep. So where did
En la página,
in the complaint, which is Form B,
El formulario B.
en el formato B,
page 17, so that big 35-page packet, page 17, it talks about on option 2,
Como ya lo mandé.
página B, en la sección, what section?
it's Form B.
En la sección B de boy,
Yeah.
So she already submitted the document.
Okay. So
That's why she.
assuming we have them in my office, which I hope we do.
tell them where
Yeah, so Form B, option 2, about the limited guardianship. That's where you could check off and write in voting, driving, you know.
So, en la parte, formulario B, la parte, opción 2 es donde puede escoger para votar, para conducir, right? Todas las opciones están ahí. Entonces, ustedes pueden escogerlas. He has a question.
So if you, just one second. So if you didn't check that off and we have the paperwork, you can just send us like a new page and just write that on there. That's
So, si usted no
fine.
rellenó esa parte, puede rellenarla en esta y luego mandársela.
And that's also something that you would talk to your daughter's attorney about. When we appoint an attorney for her, you can explain to him or her, whoever the attorney is, that your daughter wants to drive, and that's something that you agree that she should be able to do. And when they send, because they send a report to the judge, when they send the report, they can suggest in there that she has the right to vote, that she has the right to drive, that she can retain some independence. So that's something that they can suggest that you can request, and as long as everybody agrees, the judge is not going to deny that.
So, cuando te apunten el abogado, entonces que le expliques a él exactamente qué es lo que quiere hacer. So, si quiere conducir o votar.
I can't hear him.
Oh, no te oigo.
Can you take off the mask? Yeah.
He has to go,
Who's 12?
table and- ¿Cuántos años tiene?
12.
12 years old.
Right.
And he brought her from his country 4 years ago.
Are you asking if you have to be a citizen to do guardianship? No, no. I don't think there's anywhere on here. I don't think it asks if you, as a guardian, are a citizen. I don't think it asks if the incapacitated person is a citizen. There's nowhere on here where it asks
En el formulario no te
citizenship.
pide si eres ciudadano, ni usted ni la niña,
No,
en
no.
ninguna parte. ¿Eh?
En los papeles no dice nada que si no tienen su ciudadanía. ¿Qué se dice?
Ciudadanía ya.
Because we heard that to apply for guardianship, the parent, their daughter or son has to be here for 5 years in this country.
No,
Is that true?
no.
No. Y ella es la abogada de la corte. Te dijo no.
Yeah. So you have to live in Union County to apply here, right?
En el
That's
condado.
right. You could have moved here a week ago, and you say, I live on, Elmora Avenue in Elizabeth. That's what we go by. That's what you're saying. You're signing something under oath, saying this is what the truth is. We're not going to investigate, how long have they lived there, and when did she come here? As long as you're in Union County, you can apply for guardianship here.
El señor es hasta los 18 años, mi hija tiene 12. Esto se hace a partir antes de que cumpla los 18. So le falta mucho.
So, but-
Le falta mucho, pero correct me, even though his daughter is 12 and she has like a couple of years to be 18.
Right.
The application hasn't changed and
Right.
the law hasn't changed.
Right. That from when I started, it hasn't changed.
How many years ago?
22 years ago.
Hace 22 años que la aplicación sigue igual. So nada ha cambiado. So si tu hija tiene 12 años, ella está en la corte 22, más de 22 años, como la abogada gerente de la piscina donde se hacen las tutorias. So hasta ahora la aplicación es igual. So la aplicación es muy importante de tenerla. Y el día que usted esté ready, llame al departamento de servicio especial y ellos les pueden ayudar con la aplicación. Ya.
Okay. Back to the judgment. So, number 8, on page 34, it talks about reporting.
Número 8 en la página.
A couple of years ago, the state of
24.
New Jersey thought it would be a great idea to make guardians send us a report every year or every other year about how the incapacitated person is doing, a list of their finances. And this all started because I believe it was Ocean County, there were some guardians that were appointed that stole money, and there was no accountability.
So, la número 8, tuvieron la idea de que todos los años tienen que hacer un reporte donde les mandan información basado en cómo va, las finanzas y todo, porque hace unos años tuvieron un problema donde alguien le sacó todas las finanzas al niño sin ayudarle.
So now the whole state has to suffer.
So, ahora todo el estado tiene que cambiar las reglas un poquito.
And I've voiced my opinion to the people at the state about this, but, I'm only one person. It's frustrating, every year you're going to send me a report that says, my child still has autism, my child still has Down syndrome, my mother still has Alzheimer's. Like, it's ridiculous. We try to limit it. It says file annually, I believe. We try to say like every 2 years, every 3 years. The report, the actual report it's called a well-being report. It's online. It's a form you can fill out. It's simple to do. It's just again, annoying, and you have to do this, it's bad enough, you have to do this, now you have to do that too. So,
So, el formulario de bienestar está a través de online, donde lo puede rellenar cada año, donde puede explicarle exactamente cómo le va yendo.
I think that in that pamphlet that you were given, I think there's a link, or it tells you where you can get through, but that's, later on, but just to let you know, it's one more form you have to fill out for, yes.
Does every county, do they handle the processes differently, or is it state?
It's a statewide, I mean, it's a statute, so it's a New Jersey statute, it's a court rule, it's all done, the requirements are all the same throughout the state. The way different counties handle things may be different, like some judges may say, I don't care that you're the mother, every year you gotta give me a report. We try to be like, no, we're good, or, like the report for the property, we usually check off, which is on page 35, that the report is waived. Why do you need to tell me every year that your child still gets $535 a month in Social Security? Like, it's, nothing is really gonna, and even if they got more money, you're the parents. What do you, most likely you're gonna take it and put it in the bank for them and do things for them. So it's more for cases where, a nephew is a guardian for their aunt, and their aunt is, financially well off, or things like that, where the court wants to oversee the money. So for these types of cases, you usually never have to do a financial report. You usually have to do some type of well-being report. And like I said, the forms are pretty easy. It's just another piece of paper. It doesn't cost anything to do it. We don't charge you. You just have to send it in, and that's it. But not my fault. I didn't require it. Blame the state of New Jersey.
So, normalmente para estos casos no tienen que hacer un reporte de finanzas, solo un reporte de bienestar. Y el señor preguntó si era cada condado corre o rellena las aplicaciones y hace el proceso ellos mismos, y ella acaba de indicar que no es a través del estado entero. Algunos tienen a lo mejor algunas reglas un poquito diferentes, pero básicamente todos a través del estado hacen lo mismo.
Yes. No. Yeah, just sign. Yeah, you just fill it out and sign it. I think there's a requirement for a doctor's certification to go with it, which we don't personally care if it's attached. But I mean, if they're going to the doctor anyway for like their regular yearly checkup, it doesn't hurt to just have it filled out and sent back. But again, we don't police it. I think the state was more concerned with the money, but then now you have to do both. You can't just, they can't, I'm on YouTube, but I don't care. They can't just say, oh, we care about the money. We don't care about the people. That's how I look at it. So they have to ask for both. So again, the guardians are the ones that kind of suffer for that, but it's not a total hardship. It's just another pain in the neck type of thing you have to deal with. Yeah?
So, what if, like, they are medically disabled, what if person still needs to get a guardianship? Like, what if person has to still file for guardianship, or is it living will or not?
So it's more of like I guess a mental disability, if you want to call it that. So obviously, like, if someone is blind, say, they're disabled, but they might know exactly what, they know the president, they know how to go to the bank, they know how to, right. So it's more that. It's not just, sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's mental, sometimes it's both, but, I'm sorry? Oh, no. Yeah, so let's just say you declare your daughter incapacitated at 18, she can't do any of that stuff. So she's not able to sign documents. She can't make a will. She can't, do you as the guardian, you make all the decisions. So this takes care of everything. Finances, instead of a power of attorney, this is what takes care of that. Medical decisions, instead of a living will, that's what takes care of that. We've actually had cases where the person was declared incapacitated, but they still had the ability to know what they call the objects of their bounty, which means who they want to get their money. It was a sad case. This man was in a bar fight, I think in Linden or Elizabeth, I can't remember, years ago, beat up badly. After that, he was disabled. He had brain injuries and things like that. He got better, not well enough to be, living without a guardian, but his mom and then his sisters, who are now his guardians, were appointed. He got a lot of money after there was a lawsuit. So, and he knew, after a while he got better. He knew, I want my sisters to have my money, as opposed to somebody else. So he was able to make a will. So there's situations where the court can allow you to give, or I would say like amend or change the judgment to, or like, for example, if it didn't say to vote, you may want to file paperwork to say, can I amend this to have my daughter vote, or have my daughter drive, or have my daughter get married or something. So things can change later on. Right. Right, so you can just do guardianship of the person, which is, again, the other, I forget what the number is, but the other form. And again, it's in the booklet, this one is the person and property.
During the year, that situation is in there, that, it's only for medical.
So you wouldn't want to do like legal decisions? Or any other, that's why I just say it, because it's kind of all encompassing. The guardianship, you can limit it to just medical, but then if something happens and your child, say, signs a contract to buy property or to do something, and they don't really know what they're signing because they don't really understand, and you're not the guardian of their whole person, they can be maybe responsible for that, So it's more of taking care of the incapacitated person, making sure that they're not getting taken advantage of. And that's, and again, it's just because you're the guardian of everything doesn't mean that you have to do everything if your child has the ability to do certain things, And I think it says in the actual judgment, the words are on number 4, I believe, that you should ascertain and consider the characteristics of the incapacitated person, which define their uniqueness or individuality, their likes, dislikes, hopes, aspirations, fears, encourage them to express preferences, protect them from injury, exploitation. So it's kind of like you're being a parent. You're still going to be I always say these poor people they're still the parent, but now they have to be legally appointed as the parent. But it's just called something else because they're 18. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, like I said, but you're not doing anything different than what you would do if the kid was 12 or 3, or, they're just older, and, it's now on paper, so don't cry. I'm like, don't get up. I know, it's tough. Yes?
Let's just say that you're the legal guardian, right? And something happens
To you.
to you. It's going to be a secondary.
Okay, so that's what so people always say, well, I want to be the guardian, but I want my sister and my niece to be the backup. I'm like, there's no such thing. Unfortunately, there's no such thing. The way it works is if you want to have your husband, your 25-year-old daughter, your 32-year-old niece, and your 52-year-old sister act all together, you can do that. We've had that. We've had that pretty much exact same scenario. I think 5. 5 was the most. It's like mom, dad, brother, sister, and aunt. You can have one person do it. You can have, 2. So if you're just one person and you say, you know what, I just want to do it all myself, 3 weeks later, you get hit by a bus, now the child has no guardian. So again, not the end of the world. Someone's going to obviously take care of the person, but they have to then refile the papers again. So it's not that anyone's going to take them away. They're not going to the state. They're not getting, lifted from your house. It's just, you have to then, so I was going to get to the fee, $200, that's it. That's the fee you have to pay. So it's not nothing, but it's not $1 million, it's $200, but then you have to pay another $200 to file again for a substituted guardian or to add a co-guardian. A lot of times people feel bad, and I don't blame them. I'm 48, so if I had to declare my son incapacitated and I have a 19-year-old daughter, like, she's away at college, I don't want to make her be the guardian now. Why would I want to strap her into that position? But maybe 10 years from now, I wouldn't feel as bad because now she's older and she's established. So I would have to then file a new application to appoint her as co-guardian. It's not as detailed. You don't need to get the doctors again. You don't need to get the IEP. Now you don't have an IEP because the kid's older. But if you have the ability, to name more than one person, and again, no one in this audience looks very old, but anything can happen to anybody at any age. But it's more for people who are older parents. They might want to name a younger child or a niece, nephew as a but you have to act now together. And I say to people that I can't control the outside world as much as I would like to. So if your child gets hurt and they have to go to the hospital, chances are they're not going to say, like, he's 22, they're going to be, where's your guardianship papers? They're just going to be like, okay, mom, let's get him in they're not going to ask for all that stuff. If they do, and you show them the paper and it's mom, sister, cousin, aunt, and they're like, well, they might need all of you there to make a decision. But normally 9 times out of 10, it's like, oh, you're the parent, you make the decision. Like, they're not going to ask for all that. So sometimes people are hesitant because they don't want to kind of tie everyone in together now. But the chances of you all having to do things, and I think is yours, right? You're more than one person on your, 4 people, she got 4 people on her guardianship. They probably won't need all 4 of you to make the decision to, get the wisdom teeth out or something. But if, it's like some type of major surgery or like they might need more than one person to consent to that. So I like to say, do what you want, but, don't complain later on when, oh, I should have added my sister, I should have added so-and-so, so, and again, you can do it. It's not that you can't do it, it's just more paperwork and a little bit more money, so, yes.
So ella-
So sorry. I'm
sorry.
sorry. Yeah, good luck with that.
So ella está recomendando que cuando rellenen la aplicación que traten de poner más que una persona como custodia, porque si algo le sucede a usted, entonces no es que el niño o la niña se va a quedar sola, pero luego van a tener que rellenar el formulario otra vez y pagar otra vez el fee, que son $200 para rellenar la aplicación. Entonces tiene que volver otra vez al proceso. No va a ser tan largo, pero van a tener que otra vez rellenar el proceso. So ella les recomienda que trate de poner más que una persona por si acaso. ¿Ok? So pueden tener hasta 5 personas en el formulario.
Oh, we hope, I think
I'm sorry.
you were next and then she's in the back. Yes. So how old? Like out of school, like they don't have one at all, like they're like 22, 23. So if they're not in school anymore and there's no IEP, you just need two doctor certifications. Yes, for anyone filing guardianship. So normally if like I said, like a person with dementia, Alzheimer's, they obviously don't have an IEP, they're 80 years old, we need 2 doctor certifications. Sometimes it's easier, like where my kids go to the doctor, there's multiple doctors. So, you know what, I'm just gonna get the 2 doctors to fill out the forms, we're here, that's fine. But because the kids are in school and you get the IEP, you don't really have to do much to get that, you just attach it, with the paperwork. But if they do not have, and I know there's an ISP, I believe, when you're older, I think it's an individualized service plan. I think that's what it's called. Once you're out of school, it's called an ISP. So for kids who are usually over 21, they're out of school, they still have plans if they're in the system with DDD and things like that. I think they should allow that form to be submitted with a doctor, but again, I don't make the rules. But yeah, so if you don't have an IEP because you're out of school, you just need 2 doctor certifications.
So, si el niño o la niña es mayor de edad, como 21 años, y ya está fuera de la escuela y no tiene IEP, le recomienda que le consigan 2 notas del doctor para entregar, porque como no está en la escuela, no tiene un IEP para entregar con eso. So, solo 2 notas del doctor.
Oh, wait. Oh, I think she was waiting in the back. Sorry.
There's a question on the floor.
Okay. Yes. Right, because you're the guardian, like you, but the person is the guardian. They make the decisions. So if as the guardian, you want your son to get married, they can get married. You as the guardian, you want your your daughter to drive, to vote? Like, you as the guardian made the decision. Do you want them to go live in California and become an actress? Like, you're the guardian. Just like the reverse way, No, you can't go drive. You can't even read the signs, or, no, you can't move across the country. You don't know how to manage money. Like, so it's just, again, you're being a parent. It's common sense. And you try to give the kids as much as you can, as far as independence goes, but you're the final decision maker. So sometimes, and again, it depends on where the child is on the spectrum, but if they can read and write and understand a lot, maybe you want to have something that says, yes, they can vote. Maybe that just makes them so happy. Like one kid I remember he was so into politics. All he talked about to the court-appointed attorney. And the attorney's like, this kid better have the right to vote, because all he wants to do is vote. So that was important to him. I mean, some 40-year-olds couldn't care less about voting. They don't even do that, and that's their right and privilege. But if it's something that you want spelled out, then I think it's good to have. Otherwise, as the guardian, you're the one that's going to guide them, and you're going to, give them what they need, and also hold them back as to what they may want, but they can't do because you're protecting them. Right. Right. So for that, I think you just have to actually draft a document. Like my ex-husband is from Canada. So when he would take them to Canada, I would sign something, saying that he could take them, so that was like leaving the country. But I think the one time they went, he dropped them off to his parents, and they were there with them for a week. So I did a document saying that his parents could take them to the doctor, that they had authorization, because they were minors. So it's the same kind of thing like that where you, as the guardian, if you're going away, you can say that you give authorization to so-and-so to bring your child, your incapacitated, I'm sorry? Yeah, usually it's called like authorization for medical treatment. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing as if you have a child who's 12 and you need to give them permission. Yes. No, they do have. She's talking about if just her and her husband were the guardians and they were going on vacation. She wanted to say, okay, I'm leaving my son with my mother, my sister, to have a document that says if something happens that they have the authority to take them to the, yeah. No, I think that's what she was saying. Right. And that's why, and again, so if there's 5 of them, and really all 5 of them really have to authorize something to be done, she can say, well, the other 3 can act while we're away. That, just an extra document. Again, I don't think it would be such a major thing, but again, I don't know. So, we're doing a raffle? What is that? I think, yeah, we're pretty much so the judgment is it. That's the last page, and after that's done, we have you sign, like I said, qualification papers, and I think you have to watch a video or something that explains, what a guardian does, which it's online. Again, I don't really think you need to do that as a parent, but it's the court rule. And once that's done, we issue the letters, the certificates, and then you would go about, your business. And like I said, we usually don't hear from people unless there's an issue, if they want to, like I said, add a new guardian or someone passes away. The only thing we really need is if you move, we need the new address. If you move out of state, you can transfer the guardianship, usually to a different state, without having to refile everything again. You have to file some paperwork, but it shouldn't be as...
So, si se mudan de estado, pueden transferir el documento, no tienen que volver a rellenar la aplicación otra vez. Y si se mudan de dirección, tienen que indicarle para que le manden los documentos a la casa o cualquier información a la casa.
And that's that.
Okay. Thank you,
So, and
Lisa.
you're welcome. Oh.
¿Alguien tiene una pregunta? Anybody has a question? ¿Nadie tiene una pregunta? Oh, one more question.
Yo me mudo ahorita en junio para el grupo, pero como ella mandé los papeles a corte, ¿cómo hago yo para cambiar la dirección?
She's moving. ¿Cuándo se muda usted? En julio, pero ¿para dónde?
Para camino para Union.
Oh, para Union?
Yo en Lisa ahorita.
Oh, so she's moving in July to Union.
Oh, that's fine.
So she's,
You're still in Union County, that's fine.
estás en
Yeah, it
el
doesn't
condado
matter.
de Union, so estás bien.
And if you guys need to contact us, I believe on the booklet should be our phone number and the website, and I don't know if my email is on there, but I can give it to you as well if you have questions, and you
So,
can
si
write to
necesitan
us.
contactarnos, en el formulario tienen todos los datos que necesitan. El
I just don't want to
nombre,
put it on YouTube.
correo
I don't need the whole
electrónico.
YouTube know my email, so they don't bother me. Might get a lot of, proposals or something, so we'll see. Yes.
Let's say we decide to move out of state. You have to let it know.
Yeah, so anytime you move at all, you have to let us know, just so that we have the correct address. I'm sorry? I was not at work today, I'm going there tomorrow. I don't have business cards, I can send them to you, and you can give them out, I have plenty of them.
Okay.
And that has my number, my email, I got everything on there.
Okay, quiero darle las gracias a Lisa. Lisa, thank you for coming, for
Welcome.
making this presentation. Espero que le gustaron la presentación. Es muy importante tener custodia de su propio hijo o hija. It's so important to have that guardianship for your own set of mind and for your own child, because you never know. So I want to thank all the parents. I want to thank the Director of Special Services, Ms. Diana Pico Gomez. I want to thank Supervisor Jose Rodriguez, Supervisor Nancy. I also want to thank our translator. Thank you. I want to also thank the Board of Education for taking the time to take this, so everyone gets the information. It's important. Also, I want to say before we close, if you're looking for an application, the Department of Special Services will have extra application. Please reach out to Mr. Jose Rodriguez, the Supervisor of Special Services, and he's able to get you an application. Si están interesados en una aplicación de la custodia, está el señor José Rodríguez del Departamento de Especiales que va a tener la aplicación. Muchas gracias, buenas noches y gracias por participar. Thank you everyone for coming out.